Welcome to Bridging the Gap with Sal Mendez. Bridging the Gap is here to bridge the gap for the city's future success, to reach out to the lost and bring souls to know Jesus Christ, to help restore lives and do God's extraordinary work. Right now, here's Sal Mendez.
Well, hello, KDRY listeners. We want to thank you again for tuning in to Bridging the Gap Radio Talk Show. Well, as you know, we are always inspired by faith and are committed to action. And that's what we're about. It's about taking action and being able to do things that normally we probably wouldn't do because of the lack of information, or maybe because of the lack of resources that are not available, or at least we think is not available. But we're here to kind of share those things. Over the past 5 years, we had a lot of different guests that have been on our program, from organizations, ministries, churches, businesses, nonprofits, everybody doing something for the community. So that has not changed, and that's what we continue to do, is bring you those information, those resources that are available for the community to help you prosper. Well, as you know, each week we bring you a special guest, and today is no exception, of course. I have with me today an individual who I've had the pleasure of meeting maybe about a month or 2 months, I think. But I know about their school because Pastor Jimmy Robles is a great supporter of this school. And, you know, we're always talking about education, and education is key to a lot of different successes in your life. But it starts with education sometimes, to be able to learn and to not just get a diploma, right, or go to college, but it helps you in so many different areas of our lives that sometimes we don't even think about it. But I'm happy to have with us today Rick Gutierrez, and he is, are you the founder or the owner, or how do I put this?
Yes, Al. Yes. Well, thank you very much for having me on the program. Yes, the founder, you know, it was something that is really, the founder is our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Because he put this in my heart back in 2009. You know, it came to fruition in 2010. So we're going on probably 11 years coming February is that when we started the school. A little bit about that is what we offer is a program that's very unique in the sense that we are able to help many students as we've had. I think we've enrolled probably close to about 9,000 students.
Wow.
Sal.
From the very beginning.
From the very beginning. And a lot of those, I want to say at least about 7,700 have graduated. So we're at about a 68-70%
That's
ratio.
Yeah.
Which is great because our city, when I started the program, I have a background in education, and I've always been fascinated with people, helping, marketing, doing demographics. I went to San Antonio College and studied international business, and there I learned, the basic ways and grassroots of gathering information before you start your business.
Right.
Clientele, things like that. So that really helped me. And I haven't stopped learning since. I'm a big believer in self-education, whether it's reading books. There's a saying, read a book a month, and that's, you'll get like a master's degree in 3-4 years, just because, reading is a big part of education.
Right, exactly.
And now you're big, and I'll throw these names out there like, Jeff Bezos, Mark Cuban, Bill Gates, and all of them, they all recommend a lot of reading, a lot of self-taught.
Right.
Through that is what, connecting is that education really never stops. A lot of people think, well, I'm going to finish high school and I'm through with education, or I'm going to finish my bachelor's degree and I'm through with it, education, right. And then they shoot for their master's degree, and then they think, well, then I've learned everything. Or, I get my PhD and then I've learned everything. And so it's just a matter of all these years that I've been doing this, even before I started the school where I went to college, and then where I actually started reading. And then the propensity for me to keep learning was interesting. I always said there's something that I need to do that I have to do, and that I'll know when I see it. Mm-hmm. So I think God was preparing me in such a way to say, okay, Rick, you're going to have to go through some jobs you may not like. You're going to learn some things from some people that probably, they're going to rub you the wrong way, but they're going to teach you something,
Exactly.
So I'm a big proponent of, we all learn to the capacity that we're willing to just listen. Big part of learning is listening.
Right.
And not everybody holds 100% of the truth of any given thing. But I had a spiritual director of mine once told me, he says, Rick, you know what? Just listen to what they have to say. Get a hold of what will nourish you. Mm-hmm. And if you don't agree with the rest, just set it aside.
Right.
So I've done that, whether it's been spiritually, whether it's been educationally, whether it's, maybe I read a book halfway and then I didn't like the rest. But maybe there was 2 chapters in there that really spoke to my spirit, and made me see things in a little different way. With our students, they come from at-risk positions. And what I mean at risk is not necessarily that they themselves, were bad people or bad students. Situations, in life, shall happen,
right.
Whether we're 15, 13, 12, 60, 80. And sometimes they're beyond our control. And so what I found out is that a lot of things that are out of our control, God puts people in our path to help us and guide us along the way. Yeah. One of my favorite scriptures, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. The I in that verse to me is saying, you're including Christ and Christ is helping you, and he'll send you his angels, and help you. Okay, well, maybe that didn't work, but let me show you a different way.
Right.
And the majority of our students now, are going from a place of maybe loneliness, uncertainty. Maybe they didn't have a conviction as far what they could do, or they were told they would never amount to anything. Much worse, maybe somebody just belittled them, and we've seen a lot of that. Whether it was their own parents, their own siblings, or our educational system, because our educational system doesn't really do justice to
exactly. And that's so true, because there's a lot of kids, me working with the youth, you find out that the homes they're coming from, their parents may not believe that education is important, because maybe they didn't get it from their parents, and so it just kind of continues. And so the kids think, well, this is what life is, and this is how I'm going to go, because this is my parents did, or my grandparents, and whatever the case may be. But it like you said, that's true. God will put somebody in your path that will give you a different view on life, a different mindset. That yes, you can. It's just that you have to go and get it. A lot of times they just don't know where to look or how to do it. And that's why it's important to have people that can guide them, that empower them to be able to go and say, yeah, but it's just going to be a little difficult, because I always tell them, things that are worth something in your life will never be easy to come by. There's going to be sacrifices. There's going to be, times that, you do want to quit, but you can't. You got to keep pressing forward. But that'll get you where you need to be. And that's why it's important to let them know. It'll be tough, but believe me, in the end, it'll be worth it. And those things that we're able to give them just to encourage them play a big part in them seeking to go further than maybe their primary education that they had into another level.
That's very, very true, Alan. To your point is that once we're made aware of what's out there for us, then a light comes on, if you will. Epiphany moment, or what people call an aha moment, is that, okay, maybe I can do this, but I can't do this without doing that. Right. So your thought process at 17, maybe it's not what it is at now that you're 25.
Exactly.
So you're trying to go to college, or you're trying to get a career school, or maybe you're just trying to get a good job. You've already learned some skills. Maybe you've read a couple of books, or a friend is doing, a great job, and they're telling you, hey, come on board, or let's even start our own business. We've had a lot of people like that. A lot of people who want to start their own business, but they need to take some certifications. Right. And by that is not years of education, Sal, but maybe, 6 months here, we'll get them a certification, let's say in IT. IT is real big right now. And especially right now with the pandemic and everything, everything is computerized. And we were having this talk before the show. It was that, we're having to adapt to technology, to computer usage, to, your Zooms, your things that we're doing now because we're forced to do.
Exactly.
This has actually created an opening in education that wasn't there before. A lot of schools are teaching, virtual classrooms and things like that. As far as, how to be able to manage your people, how to teach the correct way. Also, just people in think tanks and storming about ideas, and a lot of people that I've talked to in the corporate world, are now their CEOs or their upper level managements are actually working from home.
A lot of people, my wife's working from home. I mean, they had to bring the computer, and I set up her, her office there, and they're still functioning like that. We're at work, but they're at home. So again, adapting to the situation.
And that's the thing. Adaptation is the key, because there's a saying that we have to be able to live with a certain amount of uncertainty to be successful. So, when I left my previous job, which was in education, and everybody, people told me, well, you're leaving, you're going to leave a job that is quote unquote, up there in the top 500. You got insurance, you got 401k, you got all these good things. Are you sure you want to do that? And to me, there was an uncertainty, But, I just felt it strongly in my spirit that God wanted me to set up the school. And it took me a bit. I prayed a lot. I asked for illumination. I asked, I'm a sign person. Hey, Jesus, if this is what you want me to do, give me a sign. But I'm going to just give my family up to you, because that time my daughters were young, and I had to have insurance for them, and I had to have a provision for them. I had my rent mortgage and all that.
Well, that's a big leap of faith.
Yes, and that
something of that magnitude to say, hey, guess what? I'm quitting here to go do something I'm not too sure about yet.
Correct. Yes, because there was some doubt in me if this is is this going to work. But deep in my soul, it wasn't an empty pipe dream. It was something that just needed to get started. And when I did start, the doors opened fairly quickly. And I say that because it just took a little bit of marketing on my side, the grassroots marketing, that is maybe flyers, knocking on doors, going to communities and tell them what we offer.
Hit the street. Yeah, gotta hit the street.
Hit the street. And actually, the way this program also started, Sal, is in Spanish, because most of my friends that I spoke with, some of them are entrepreneurs, and they said, Rick, you can always get an education in English, be it a GED program, an online program. But there's so many people here that come from Mexico City, Central America. Why don't you do a Spanish program? And I said, well, that's a good idea, but let me try it and see what happens. I kind of didn't think that's where my market was going to be 100%.
Kind of hesitant to go that route.
Which I did. The first response wasn't that great. So then I decided, let's do this in the English language. And when I went from Spanish to English, it just changed. I had people from all walks of life, from 15 years old to 80 years old. Up to this day, Pastor Jimmy always asked me, so what is your oldest student? And I said, 83 years old. So Ms. Fernandez, 6 years ago, she graduated and she was 83 years old. And the premise of our work, Sal, just to cover it real quick, is, we issue a program that covers your basics, language arts, social studies, science, things like that. It's all done from home, which is real convenient, because I get a lot of people who have to work one job or two jobs, or maybe take care of the kids right now and things like that. So this program is done at your own pace and at your own time. So if you're a morning person, you get up at 6 in the morning and you can work on it. We always say for at least 3 hours a week. If you're a night owl like myself and you're up at midnight and you can do this work at 1 in the morning, and you can finish it. We give them a 6-month window of opportunity. We do provide tutoring also, and right now we're doing a lot of that Zoom tutoring, which has helped people. And one thing too, Sal, I don't know if I mentioned to you, we have people across the nation. We got from people as close as Laredo to as far as Las Vegas, California, different cities in California, Chicago, Michigan. We do work with El Paso quite a bit. We work with Laredo, Corpus Christi, McAllen, Bronzeville, a lot of the Rio Grande Valley area, El Paso. And so I'm looking to maybe opening up some schools then. It's in God's hands, and I know once we settle and pandemic comes down, I'm going to look to open up more schools in different cities.
And that kind of like what we're talking about, that kind of put a damper on a lot of things, not just one thing, but across the board, not just here locally, but across the state and the nation, which, these are things that are not in our control. And speaking that we were doing earlier, I had to shift from what we were doing and saying, well, I can either just kind of coast along, or I can utilize this time to benefit me to learn more. And of course, those things are up on the internet now that, if you want to learn about anything, it's there.
It's there, yes.
It's there, and so there's no excuse now about I don't think I can. No, you can. It's just, where do I do it? A lot of times that's the question that you don't want to do it. And it's not that you don't want to do it. It's just you don't know where or who to go to be able to get those resources that you need. And that's what we're about, is connecting those resources, especially here, like what Victor's saying, with Victory Learning Center. This is a program that anybody can do. If you have an 83-year-old individual graduating, anybody can do it, right?
Oh, yes. And this is a great story, and I know we have a limited time, but basically, she was a lady that came from Mexico City, I want to say in the 50s or maybe a little earlier than that, and she had 4 children. She put them first always. All of her children went to university. One went to UT, one went to A&M, one went to Rice, and I think one also went to Southwest Texas State at the time.
Wow.
So they all got their education. She was really about education. And then her grandkids went to school. So she was like taking care of 3 generations, give or take, of her family lineage. And she came to me and once said, Mr. Gutierrez, I'm going to do this program. I've heard great things about it. She had a friend I think her friend was in her 50s. She did the program. And she came with me. She said, right away, she says, I'm paying for the program. And we also have a cap and gown ceremony, which is really cool because you get to cross the stage and, you get an additional certificate. And so you get
make
that,
it really official, the whole.
Correct. Yes, you get that feeling. So if you've never crossed stage, or you've never shaken the principal's hand, or taken pictures, or we DVD it, we have a motivational speaker. This next graduation that we're doing on December the 3rd, which is actually going to be at Last Chance Ministries, it's going to be a special homage, if you will, of sorts, because Victoria went to my school. She graduated, and this is the first time we're doing the graduation here at Last Chance Ministries, and so we're going to dedicate this first graduation in Victoria's memory, which is awesome. There's a lot of students who are very happy. We already handed out the cap and gowns. We already took some pictures, because I have two locations, one here at Last Chance Ministries, and then one over on the south side on 660 Southwest Military Drive.
Right.
It's right across that HB on Pleasanton Military.
And so you just opened an office here at Last Chance Ministry. Pastor opened the doors, and you're located there. But if anybody is listening right now and you're saying, this is a good time to maybe start my education, or I've been looking for something, but I didn't know where to look. Where can they reach you, or what contact information if somebody's listening right now and would like to get a hold of you or get more information regarding this program?
I'm going to give you the main campus number, because there's going to be more access there. That number is going to be 210-922-2922. Okay. Again, that phone number to reach us is 210-922-2922. And then if you want to go, what we're doing now is you can always do hashtag Victory Learning Center, and then that'll pull up the information. You can go to our website also, which is Victory Learning Center, and that'll come up. We've been doing this for, like I said, going on 10 years. So if you plug in Victory Learning Center on Google, we're going to come up. I think we're one of the first ones or second schools that come up. And definitely the minimum age is 15. There is no maximum age. The blessings that go beyond just getting this diploma. This is just what I call a springboard to bigger and better things.
It's the first step to higher education.
I've had students who've come in with me, gotten the 4-year degree, gotten their 2-year degree, have gotten a career, started their own businesses. Very grateful students, and I'm very blessed, because as the day of graduation, and hopefully you can be there with us, you'll see not just for the educational purposes, Sal, but also there's a bonding, a reuniting with family. It's very emotional, because sometimes the belief in that person that you love wasn't there, and you didn't believe in that person, or you didn't believe in yourself, and now you come full circle and you say, wow, now my father believes in me, my spouse believes in me, my children believe in me, my parents believe in me, and it's just a wonderful thing to see, and it's a unification of people and parents and loved ones and siblings and spiritual things. I mean, I can't think of any graduation we've had, Sal, that there hasn't been any glory given to God. A lot of praise and a lot of glory are given to God, because we do center it in Christ. People always thank God, praise Jesus, and there's always going to be somebody there thanking God for it.
And He's the one that can get you through this, because it's not studying or getting, especially if you are looking to do this, and the motivation or whatever you think, or maybe whatever's holding you back, thinking, man, it's going to be hard. It may be a little hard, but with God on your side, you can do all things. And once you do that, once you achieve that goal, you're going to realize, what's to stop me from reaching my next goal, which may be college, or may be a career, whatever the case may be. But you'll realize that, it takes that first step is always going to be the hardest step to take. But once you realize, even if you moved an inch, man, you moved forward. So that you can continue moving forward, and as difficult as it is, but God will give you that strength to be able to move forward, and especially the people there at the program helping you out. So there's no excuse of what you're able to do when you want to do it.
Not really, Sal, because the biggest obstacle is just getting there. I've had a lot of people who call me and say, okay, I'll be there next week. Then they come a month after, or a month and a half after. And it was just really a lot of that self-doubt. If anything else, that you're doubting yourself. Can I do this? Sure. Is this going to work? Do I have the time? And then in that process, you're wasting that time when you can act instead of think about it. Because once you put it in motion, and I always tell my students this, the hardest step is this one, that you decided to come in and to enroll. The time will, and it's just in God's hands, and you're going to have the time. It's a 6-month program that can be done before. If this is something that God has put in your heart, and this is the only thing that's holding you back, I believe, the Holy Spirit is going to move you, is going to open doors. There's been cases where all of a sudden a babysitter came up and didn't charge our student, where their job, kind of said, okay, you don't have to come in as much, we'll still keep paying you. Somebody, lost their job, but they had enough money in the bank, and they don't know how that happened, and they were able to do this program in 2-3 months. Then they got a better job than what they had. So somebody, motivated their husband because they were down. They were like, I never finished my education. I knew I would never make it. The spouse paid for it. That was a new person. And I've seen, people come in that, are tired of working the so-called dead-end jobs. Right. And, they're the the food providers. They got to put the food on the table for their kids, for themselves. And what happens is they get the program, they get their high school diploma with us, and then all of a sudden they go into a job in corporate America where they're making, maybe $16, $18, $19 an hour as opposed to, $7.50. And now they're able to provide, and they have insurance and they have 401k and they can spend time with their kids, maternity leave and all that. And they're very grateful from coming from a dead-end job into a good job like that. I had a pleasure of meeting this beautiful student that she was with me about 5-6 years ago. And she went from working fast food to actually working for a big corporate bank here in San Antonio, and went from, I think it was 8.25 to 16.50. Because she not only she had her diploma, but she was bilingual, and so she just added that to it, and it just took her to another level.
Yeah, and you do. I always tell the kids, I said, look, learn what's good, because you can go out and learn what's bad. That's not going to benefit you. Believe me, it's going to take things away from you. But if you learn what is good in your life, and sometimes you may not want to learn it, but you'll realize it's going to create a value in you that people will see that. And the more value you have, people want to be able to utilize you because they think, you can do this, you can do that. Wow, well, I'm going to hire you than someone that I'm going to have to train. So they rather have somebody that has that value already there and that will be able to be an asset to whether it's a business or even starting your own business or whatever the case may be. So that's really important that you do that and to get that education if you possibly can. And that's what we're doing here right now, is being able to provide that. Again,
and it speaks volumes. So just because of me as an employer, I always look at the education that an employee is bringing. And if somebody doesn't give up, by saying, well, I dropped out, but I still got my diploma, my GED, something happened in my life, but I kept going. So people that don't use an excuse and they see more opportunities, even though some people come to me and they're in their 50s, mid 50s, and they're like, okay, now I want to do this because this is for myself or because I'm going through a change in my life right now where I want a new opportunity. So it's never too late. As Pastor has said, if an 83-year-old person can go through it, his daughter went through it, and other people from the parish, and even my own family members, people who work for me have sent me their family members. So, and they've done what they've done, and are happy and grateful. And so we're here to serve the community now that we're here on this Last Chance Ministries. I'm looking forward to helping people here in the 7207 area, as well as any area surrounding here in the location on the south side. So you can email me, look us up on Google, call on the number that I provided, the 210-922-2922 number. And we're here to help the community. And with God's help, we're going to grow, and we're going to, my goal is would be to put me out of business, that everybody would get their diploma. But at the bare minimum is just making a difference in people's life.
Absolutely. And it's got to start somewhere. I mean, it may seem difficult, but believe me, when you can connect with some program like this, everything's working in your favor. So don't neglect it. Don't stop making excuses, whatever the case may be, to take that action to better yourself. So we're just about at the end of our show here. But Victor, thank you so much for joining us. Again, this is Victory Learning Center. They are located at 660 Southwest Military Drive, San Antonio, Texas, 78221. So reach out to them. You'll get information there, and they can tell you more on how to get on the program as well. Thank you so much, KDRY listeners. We'll be back here again next week. God bless and take care.
Thank you.
This has been a Power of God production. This program has been sponsored by Last Chance Ministries and KDRY Radio.